records and stores events. Do you all agree with me? Yes, sir. Now, you can have a security camera that does not store events. That means in absence of a storage device. Does that stand the test of a security camera? No. Because you must have what we call a playback. If something happened, you should be able to trace back and have what we call a playback. Now I'm going to give you a simple instance. Let me have your phone. Now if there is no STD card here and you don't have storage space on this phone, of course I can turn on the camera, am I right? Now while the camera is on, will it be able to store any events? No. It will just be giving you instant view. But when you are called to retrieve information, you cannot retrieve any information. Now, gentlemen, that will now lead us to what we call indoor and outdoor camera. Now, everybody look up. I have two cameras with me. Which is indoor and which is outdoor? Okay, if my right hand is what? Outdoor. Again? Outdoor. And my left hand is what? Indoor. PV system. Perfect energy for the nation. Say no to. Make money while Imo State son. Or stand. How many components do we have in solar energy system? Let me hear you. Number one is what? Number two? Number three? Number four? Good. And we introduce the last two, which we say the fifth one is what? Again? Again? And the sixth one is what? Now, what is the work of the load? It consumes, and we said our solar module traps energy from and converts it to in DC. Your charge controller regulates the amount of current that charges the battery and prevents it from being over. Your battery stores. Your inverter converts AC to DC or vice. While your AC mains distribute the generated current. Now, gentlemen, we said we have three angles of hanging your solar module. What am I having here? Again? Is this a mono or a poly? Mono or poly? Which is this? Again? Now, between poly and mono, which one charges fast? Again? Again? Good. Monocrystalline. And we've already explained why mono charges faster. Because of the cell composition. Now, how many types of battery do we say we have? Number one is what? Again? Number two? And which one has the highest lifespan? Again? How many years can your lithium-ion battery last? Again? 8 to 10 years. Why your lead-acid battery can last how long? 2 to 3 years. Please, a round of applause for yourself. We.
All right. Now we'll be talking about the exposure triangle. Now, the exposure triangle is a triangle that comprises of the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture. Now, what is the ISO? The ISO is a function of the exposure triangle that controls the intensity of light that goes through the sensor of the camera. It is usually ranges from 100 to 56,000 depending on the type of camera you are using. Are you with me? Now, We have the shutter speed, which is a function that controls motion. It is a function that controls what? It controls the speed. It controls what? It controls speed. Take for example, if we have a moving vehicle. If we have a moving vehicle, I want to freeze the moment. We can achieve that through the function of the what? We can achieve that through the function of the what? Take for example again, we have an athlete, which is Usain Bolt, the fastest runner, right? And is running at his highest speed. And we want to capture that moment with a camera. What function of the camera do we use to freeze that moment? Let me hear you again. Now, we have the third function of the exposure triangle, which is the aperture. The aperture controls the focal length of the camera. The aperture controls what? Now, this also controls the depth of field, which can tell you now the distance between your subject and your what? And your background. The subject and your what? Now, these three functions put together controls light generally in the camera. These three functions, which is your ISO, your shutter speed, and your aperture, controls light simultaneously together in your what? Camera. It tells the camera how light should go in and come out of the sensor. The camera is controlled by a sensor. There's a sensor in every camera, even in your phone camera, in your digital what? Camera. There's always a sensor that senses light that goes in and out of the what? Camera. Let me hear you say camera. Let me hear you say camera. All right. Now, apart from the exposure triangle, we have external forces that gives or controls light. Now, we have the natural light and we have the what? What is the natural light? What is the artificial light? Please clap for yourselves. We have the strobe light and we have the continuous light. Are you with me? Now, the continuous light is any light that provides steady lightning. The continuous light is any light that provides what? Steady. Like this light you're seeing here now is your what? Now, your strobe light is any flashlight that gives you illumination at the point of trigger. Whenever you have a trigger, those lights gives you what? Intensity. That is what is known as your what? Strobe light. They are usually used inside the studio or outside the studio. Are you with me? Now, apart from the exposure triangle, we also have different settings in the camera that controls lights. One is also your white balancing. Your white balancing controls light and it controls your what? Colors. It controls your light and it controls your what?
We'll be talking about the list functions. We've talked about some operations in list, and now we'll be talking about functions in list. Pay attention, I'm using short thing. We'll be talking about the functions in list. And the first function in the list we want to talk about is the append function. And the append function in Python programming language is used to append or add or affix extra items that were not originally in our list. They were not originally part of our list items. Let's say somewhere along the line of our program became much more sophisticated. We now want to enlarge the scope of our program. There are some items that have now been introduced to that particular list and want to add it somewhere in the middle of the program when we have already earlier declared the list. How do we do that? We simply make use of the append function. That's what the append list function is used for. Now, a function is different from an operation. A function can actually affect that particular data structure. The function can affect the list, but the operation cannot affect or change the list. No, it can only work around the list or the data structure, but a function can affect it. Now let's do the first append function. Let's say we have this same function now, the same list now, the fruit list. And what we want to do now is we want to append some items to that particular data structure in Python. Now what do? We just do fruits dot. Now remember that in CSS, when we did CSS, we said the period mark is used to call the class, HTML class, when we are styling, right? Good. Now, for our list, anytime we want to add a particular function to our list, we make use of that same period mark. So we first call our list fruits dot, we'll now write the function name. And the function name we'll use now is append. Append. Now, what do we want to append to our list? What do we want to add to our list? Let's say we want to add that peach now as part of that fruit list. So just come here, we'll now say fruits. Then we'll go ahead to print fruits. We'll save this code, then we'll run it. Oh, peach, not fruit, peach. Now, look up. Now, look at the original list here. The original fruit list, it ended at pawpaw. This was where we declared the list. This was our list name. We declared the list here and it ended at pawpaw. But like I said, as time goes on, when you're developing an actual real-life project, the project might get sophisticated along the line, in the middle of the project. Now what do? We don't go back and start to add from the beginning, because if you go back to the beginning and add it from this point, it might affect every other thing you have used this list to do before you got to that point where you are now. So instead of that, from that point where you are, you now make use of the append function.
CCTV engineering. So we know what CCTV is. I think something related to circuit, camera, TV, and the rest. So engineering is knowing the in and outs of what you are doing in the technical aspects. So that's CCTV engineering we are talking about. So we have CCTV software and but we are looking at CCTV engineering. And they introduced to us various cameras that we can work with depending on the context or the situation of what we want to use it for. Do you understand? But today we made use of a camera that is functioning as a device that can capture what's happening live. Though not too far, but as you can see, we can see ourselves. That's we are sitting down here. So what we are seeing here, what's actually happening is that this itself can capture this and sends it through the wire itself. And then we have a decoder. This is the receiving decoder. This itself, DVR decoder. This transmits that information to something that we can see on the TV. Do you understand? This cannot be directly connected to the television. Neither can this work alone. So we have three major parts that we are looking at. The camera, very important, the decoder, and the TV. Do we get that? So once you get the camera right, get the decoder right, and the TV right, we are good to go. But the important part that we should notice, the connections. Now, there are cameras that are designed, cameras normally are designed to take both the visual and they need to be powered by electricity. There's no camera that does not have electricity in it. Either it's powered by electricity, that's direct current, or battery. Do you understand? And the solar cameras have batteries installed in them. That's why the solar itself can get energy from the sun into the battery and then can power the cameras itself. That's why you do not see any wires connected to those cameras that are using solar. Do you understand? Now, we were taught something about there's a particular networking that is involved with camera. Those ones that do not involve from one camera to another camera, circuit, that's a physical wire connecting them. Those ones make use of wireless connection. Do you understand? There was a phone that was passed, so we saw the ones that with antenna. All those cameras that are designed with antennas, we saw them that day. So What else am I not talking about? CCTV engineering. I think that should be all. Anything else?
Sir?
Yes, yes. I forgot to mention something. Some cameras are designed to detect motion as well. They have motion sensors and alarm systems, so they can detect when an object moves. So it would shine light on that area, and then an alarm system will be triggered to where the owner is. Where there's an intruder coming in that environment, which is pointing to security consciousness. So this CCTV camera is fostering on security matters and intrusion. So am I clear on camera? So let's move to satellite dish installation. We defined satellite that day as any device that is designed to receive signals from any medium and then transmitting it to a decoder. And then this decoder itself is designed to transmit that received signals into something that can be displayed on the television that we can watch. Now, satellite itself, they have an office, a big office in which they play programs and all, but they don't want to watch those things alone. So how do they put it out there for other people to watch? So they send out the signal. So the signals that are going out, that dish that we saw outside, there's a particular place that you focus the dish on. That's why we're taught those signals. We have the north, south, east, and west. That machine itself can tell you, that machine, where is it? So this machine itself will tell you how accurate your signal is.
Come and see, come and see.
Good. Zoom in. Skill acquisition and entrepreneurship development training here in Imo State NYC orientation camp. And as you can see, look at the beautiful ladies that they have just done their hair gear. And the shocking part is that they have learned this in within these few days. These 4 members, you are wonderful. Can you put your head together for yourself? So, makeup class. Redefining your beauty. SAED. 4 members creating wealth. Saeed, yo. Saeed, yo. Come and see. Come and see. Hey. Come and see. Come and see. NYC has done it again. You have seen that NYC has done it again. Can we give a siren sound for NYC? We won, we won, we won.
Come and see,